Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Like many people, depression and feelings of emptiness, inadequacy, all sorts of mental issues surrounded me when I was in my active addiction. And depression, especially, was a big part of my life experience when I was in addiction. And this overall feeling that I wasn't complete, that there was something missing, those kinds of feelings were a really, really big portion of the way that I experienced life. And when I sought to try to resolve those feelings, I tended to, as many people do, try to find out the answer to the question, why do I feel this way? I had this natural feeling that if I could just get to the root of why I felt the way I felt, then I would find the solution to that problem and all would be well. And so I was reading some in Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart by Mark Epstein, and he talks about something that we really focus on in AA, and this is another parallel between AA and Buddhism. I talked about some parallels yesterday. This is another parallel where we focus too much on the why, and one of the things that AA taught me is stop resisting what you're feeling. Don't worry too much about why you feel that way. Focus more on what you're going to do next. And so I'm going to read a little bit from what he says about some of his experience as a young psychotherapist. He says, like their patients, psychotherapists were intimidated by emptiness. They were struggling to take those feelings of insufficiency that I had struggled with since high school and eradicate them. They tried to get to the roots of the problem, to solve the puzzle, to uncover the hidden dynamics and come up with a plausible explanation, much as my first therapist had handed me my Oedipus complex and expected it to cure me. Therapists were trying to get rid of emptiness by uncovering its cause. From Freud and his followers on down, therapists had identified all kinds of plausible causes. Psychotherapy was holding out for a cure. Buddhism, as I was learning, sought to turn the Western experience of emptiness around. Don't be so afraid of it, Gellick was saying. Someone he was talking to. Don't be so afraid of it, Gellick was saying. You can never understand what the Buddhists mean if you are so afraid of your personal emptiness. The problem with the Western experience of emptiness was that it was mixed with so much fear. So, again, we come into, some parallels to AA. One of the things that I was taught early on in AA is not to be afraid of my own feelings, of my own emotions, and not to try to push them away, to allow myself to experience them. My fear of feeling these negative emotions is what was driving me in a lot of ways to overindulge in drugs and alcohol on an addictive level. And once I started to take away that fear of these emotions and started to say, well, just let yourself feel them. And instead of trying to think through these emotions, just decide something to do about them. Then things started to change. And when I was in treatment, I was given all these tools on how to do things when you're having these emotions. One of the best tools that I got, that I used really a lot early on in recovery, was to write in a journal. And if I woke up in a bad mood in the morning, write down why I was in a bad mood and what was upsetting me, and just everything that I was feeling from my perspective, and then put it away for the day. And then at the end of the day, write back to myself from the point of view of either an unconditionally loving higher power, or if I didn't really believe in a higher power that translated that way. Right back in from the perspective of an unconditionally loving parent, what would I say if my child came to me expressing the kinds of emotions that I had expressed that morning? And that exercise, just writing in the morning was enough to shift my mood so that I could make it through the day. But the insight that I gained from then finishing the day by writing back to myself with unconditional love, I gained a lot of insight that way. But even more importantly, it taught me how to love myself unconditionally. And that's a beautiful thing to learn. And that's another thing that you learn that helps you to deal with some of these negative emotions. So when you have feelings of depression, when you have feelings of extreme anxiety, a lot of times I have found it difficult to love myself through those times. And that's an exercise that I did that helped me learn how to do that. Other exercises include prayer, meditation, positive affirmations, going to meetings for any kind of recovery group, for some people, going to church or going to a religious gathering, or even just going to exercise. A lot of times, if I've exhausted all of my resources, I'll get involved in something that completely takes my brain off of it. Like I'll put on some relaxing music, go do a puzzle, or do something that completely requires my brain to switch to another mode. That is what I have to do to handle my emotions. I can't think my way through emptiness, depression, anxiety. I can't think my way out of those. I tried that for almost 2 decades. It never worked. I have to do my way through those emotions, and I have to be willing to feel them. And it's okay. I don't need to be scared of them anymore. I know that those emotions are going to happen in my life, but I have ways to do and actions to take when they happen, rather than just wallowing in them and trying to think my way out of them, which is what I used to do. So he concludes this section of the book by saying, emptiness can never be eliminated, although the experience of it can be transformed. Like sparks flying off of the blacksmith's anvil, experiences of emptiness are part of the fabric of our being. And that's a difference for me. Now I accept these kinds of feelings as part of me and part of my experience. I couldn't accept that earlier. I had to get rid of them. As soon as I got them, get rid of them. And the easiest way to do that was by tipping back a bottle. Emptiness appears first as the dark side of our attempts to create a separate and self-sufficient self. Any therapy that tries to explain it away or cure it with a corrective emotional experience is destined to produce frustration and disappointment. Only when we stop fighting with our personal emptiness can we begin to appreciate the transformation that is possible. And that's where I feel like I am. I've stopped fighting with the negative emotions that I used to fight with all the time. I used to fight against these things. And now, instead of fighting them, I allow them to be and use them to inform what I'm going to do next in life. And whether that's just going about my day, or whether it's actually taking an action that might help me to move on to some different emotions. Again, not fighting them, but just recognizing that if I'm feeling depressed, something as simple as taking my dogs for a walk around the block might help me move on past that. And if it doesn't, there's some other things I can do. I can call and tell someone about it. I can go to a meeting. And I can rest easy knowing that more than likely that feeling is a temporary feeling, And as long as I can make some informed decisions about the things to do next rather than dwelling on why I feel the way I feel, more than likely I'll move through it pretty quickly. That's it for today. I'll be back here tomorrow with more. Have a good one.